Join Marty Johnson, the holistic health practitioner and founder of Total Health Nutrition Center in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, as he delivers these podcasts to enlighten you and give you hope that there are health solutions to conditions that seem difficult to resolve, or even better answers than a medical approach of prescribing a chemical drug, which most times is nothing more than a Band-Aid fix, rather than getting to the root cause of your problem. The mission of the Total Health podcast is to provide the education and support that will lead to transforming people's healths so they can live a much more efficient, productive, and happier life the way God intended it to be. Join him now for his latest podcast.
Hello, this is Marty Johnson here, and today I want to be able to chat with you a little bit about fatigue and different things that can be causes of fatigue. A lot of times we think of the more common things like thyroid or glands that are called adrenal glands, which not everyone might be familiar with, but a lot of people are, which play a big role in your energy levels when they're functioning the way they should. And we'll talk a little bit about those. But I want to also touch on a couple of other aspects of the body and different organs, if they're out of balance, how that can affect your energy level. So the first area that I'd like to chat about a little bit is an inefficient liver. So I've done a podcast on digestion and liver function and things like that, but not so much in the area of how it can affect your energy. So if the liver is inefficient, you can have up to 40% inefficiency in the liver, and it still may look perfect on blood work as far as your liver enzymes and everything else. So there can be a lot going on symptom-wise, even though the blood work looks normal. And with the liver, when it becomes less efficient in filtering out toxins, because that's kind of what it does, it will actually often show up more with fatigue that's more prevalent in the morning. So when you have fatigue in the morning, especially, and then it starts to subside as you get going throughout the latter part of the morning, that can be an indicator that the liver is less efficient. The other indicator to look for is if after laying still, of course, after a night's sleep, getting up, the first thing when you're getting up, if you feel stiff, maybe unusually stiff, and it takes you a while to get going once you start walking, that can be an indicator of an inefficient liver. Or even if you're just sitting in a car or sitting in a chair for a period of time and you get up and you're stiff for the first, several steps, that can indicate a liver issue, especially if that stiffness has come on over, a shorter period of time and it wasn't as prevalent before. That definitely can be something that you want to be looking out for in the area of doing the right types of liver detoxification processes. Many times in our clinic, we have we do have equipment that can analyze. They're called bioresonance scans, where they can analyze the efficiency of the liver or any organ based on its energy output, because every organ is a conglomerate of cells producing energy. So if that energy is low, then we can basically assume that organ is not functioning up to its full potential. So that's a little bit on liver. The kidneys too is another major filter, and if they're less efficient, again, kidneys similar to liver, you can have a 40 to 40% or more inefficiency, and the blood work still can look fine for the kidneys. And what I've found in practice over 30 years, that inefficient kidney function, liver function, can both really affect a person's energy level and cause other symptoms but definitely just dampen your vitality as far as your vibrancy and energy levels. So these are two major organs that we like to, make sure are clearing out for people, or in other words, that they're open so that they can clear toxins properly from the body. The other aspect of energy reduction is just overall toxicity all the way to the cellular level. So every cell in your body is producing energy. The end result of the chemical reactions going on in your cells is ATP, adenine triphosphate, and that basically is every living organism's energy source. So ATP production is based on how well those cells are functioning. If the cells are getting bogged down with toxicity, whether it's pesticides or heavy metals or different chemicals from plastics, many things in our environment can get into our body and accumulate over time and start to interfere with your cellular function in the way that it outputs energy. So oftentimes, clinically, we'll do what's called a medioxy test, which is a urine test to show us how much inflammation is going on the outer membrane of the cells, kind of like the housing of the cells. That inflammation level gives us a pretty good indication if the cells are toxic or if they're hindered due to inflammation as far as how they're able to take on nutrients or even hear the hormones. So, and that's actually going into why a person could have blood levels that look normal for thyroid, but the cell may not be fully responding to that hormone. So, in other words, the active hormone for thyroid hormone is T3, and that actually could look normal in your blood, but if the cell can't hear that hormone properly, then it's not going to actually respond in the way that we would like, causing us to have reduced energy or reduced metabolism. But just even overall cellular function is big for a person's vitality and energy. And if we find that that's an issue, then we go deeper to look at, all right, well, what sources of toxins might you be exposed to, and how can we detoxify your body or go through some processes of detoxifying all the way to the cellular level, more so than even just the organs. Many times people will have some products that will detoxify the liver or detoxify the kidneys or maybe have a bowel cleanse. And those are all good, as we already indicated, but oftentimes we find that people need to go all the way upstream to the cell and detoxify the cell membrane and deeper into the tissues so that your cells can produce the ATP again and the energy again. The last area that I want to just chat about briefly is going back to the thyroid and adrenals, specifically adrenal glands, because if we improve cellular function, a lot of times the thyroid will improve along with it because the thyroid hormone will respond better. But oftentimes toxins can affect how your body is converting thyroid hormone. So in other words, your thyroid actually produces T4, which is one of the hormones that's often tested by doctors, but your cells can't even utilize T4 until the liver converts it into T3. So again, going back to the liver, if the liver is inefficient, you may not even be converting that well. So we want to make sure that we're handling the whole picture. And furthermore, certain toxins can affect selenium levels in the body, which is a mineral. And if selenium is, if the levels of selenium are not where they should be, or if the cells aren't responding to selenium properly, then that conversion process from T4 to T3 is also hindered. So there's a lot of factors that play a role. My aim today is to kind of give you some ideas that, hey, if you're feeling stuck and wondering, boy, is there any hope to getting my energy back and my vitality back? I want to give you some of these ideas of how we work with people and things that we want to look at to show you that, yes, there is hope. There's probably things that haven't really been looked at, especially if you've been relying mostly just on the medical system. Adrenal glands are often never approached or really addressed much at all medically. Oftentimes they're not even testing to see if your adrenal function or your adrenal output or your hormone output from the adrenal glands are actually correct. And we find that probably 90% of the clients that we work with have some under-functioning adrenal. And these are small glands about the size of a walnut right above the kidneys, and they produce adrenaline and other hormones that help you feel up and happy and able to focus. Hormones like epinephrine and norepinephrine, along with adrenaline, they actually produce precursor hormones to all the other hormones in the body. One of those is DHEA, which is a precursor to a lot of other sex hormones and so forth. So, if the adrenal glands get run down because they have to respond to every stressor that you're exposed to. So if you have good stress, like working out or just, hard work where you work or what have you, or bad stress, like, getting bad news or just pressures that life puts on us, your adrenal glands respond to that stress by producing different hormones like adrenaline and things like that. And even diet, too much sugar and carbohydrates can affect the adrenals because they have to respond to how you metabolize glucose. Environmental stressors, temperature differentials, chemicals can also stress the adrenals. So all of these things can add up to adrenal glands that are under functioning. And there's really three major stages to adrenal stress. The first stage is most people don't really realize that they're in some adrenal stress in that stage one. They might feel kind of like they're going 100 miles an hour, sometimes feeling a little wired at times, but not a whole lot of fatigue yet in that stage one phase. Stage two phase is where people actually can start to have anxiety that they've never had before because the adrenal glands are becoming fatigued but trying to overcompensate. So they're pushing too much adrenaline. Sometimes this can get to the point where it actually will create a panic attack because they're producing way too much adrenaline. And I've had clients that have ended up in the emergency room thinking they're having a heart attack, and really they were sent home saying they had a panic attack. Unfortunately, they weren't given any solutions as to what to do. But as we go into that stage two, they can actually start to have that feeling of being wired but tired at the same time. So some fatigue can set in. And usually these folks can also start to have problems with sleep. So they might fall asleep, but they wake up partway through the night and they're not able to sleep very deep afterwards because the adrenal glands are over-responding when they shouldn't. So this is a stage where we see a lot of people in, and if we make the right corrections lifestyle-wise and teach people how to make changes dietary-wise, and also we start supporting the adrenals with the proper therapeutic whole food nutrients, a lot of times we can correct this and get the adrenals functioning how they should. We definitely don't want people going into stage 3 adrenal stress, and that's where we find people are going to have fatigue from the time they get up to the time they go to bed, similar to how it is if a person has a really low functioning thyroid. You feel tired all day long, and oftentimes they feel like sleeping way more than the average person. And stage 3 adrenal stress is what we would call more like chronic fatigue and so forth. So we definitely want to keep people out of that stage if at all possible. It's easier to treat someone before they get there because it's just a lot more severe of a situation when it comes to the stage 3. So there you have it. Those are some ideas or some thoughts on things that can rob you of energy and areas that we look at every day, really, in our clinic. And we're pretty used to working with and pretty confident that we can help people with these situations. So if there's anything that we can be of help, you can contact us in our clinic at 262-251-2929, or you can go on our website at Total Health Inc., totalhealthinc.com, and you can check out our clinical services there, or schedule a free consult on the phone just to see if what you're dealing with is a fit with what we might be able to help with. All right, well, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us today on the Total Health Podcast. If you'd like more information about how Total Health can transform your health, check them out. They would love to set up a free consultation with you over the phone. Call them at 262-251-2929 to make that appointment. Otherwise, you can check them out on the web at www.totalhealthinc.com.